In this video, I'll be checking out a new dash camera from REDTIGER, which features a 4K front-facing camera, 1080p rear-facing camera, and a 2.5K rear-view camera. It's the world first 24/7 ultra-color dash camera, and also features a dual Starvis 2 sensor inside for clear crystal quality of dash cam recordings. So a feature-packed dash camera. Let's check out what comes inside the box. Okay, so here's what you get inside the box. You get a quick start guide and a paper user manual. You get the F17 Elite camera along with the rear facing camera. You get a USB-C connector to a long lead and a 12-volt adapter to power the camera. There's a big chunky and rather long USB-C to C cable to connect the main camera to the rear camera. A plastic multi-prying tool, and you get an additional slide-on clip system for the main camera, an additional adhesive and additional smaller adhesive for the rear facing camera as well. And you get 4 clear transparent films to put on your windscreen for easy installation. Okay, so looking over the camera then, it is a chunky little dash camera, mostly because it's got to carry what's going on behind it, which is basically the screen at the back here and the built-in rear-facing camera on the main body itself. So as I mentioned earlier, you've got the main camera, rear-facing camera, and then you've got a rear view camera as well for the rear of the car. Up top of its mounting system, you've got the integrated power port to power the camera and also the secondary port to transfer that power to the rear camera. You've got the main screen here with a status indicator light on the side of it. You've got the rear facing camera and you've got some 5 buttons at the bottom: power, mode, 2 toggles to go left and right on the menus, an OK button, microphone which is down firing, and then you've got a built-in SD card here that comes pre-supplied, branded REDTIGER, and it's 128 gigabytes. Got a reset switch on the side along with the SD card slot, just some stamps on the other side, some passive cooling generally around the top and bottom of the camera, and on the front we've got the REDTIGER branding, some textured pattern there, and then this front facing camera has a ball joint movement to get that angle nicely placed over the dashboard there. Up top we've got an adhesive pad to connect the dash camera, and obviously it slides in from the right hand side there, so make sure you've got enough room on that right hand side near any rear view mirrors, for example, when you get to installing that, and it clicks in place to mount that camera should you wish to take it on and off. Now looking at the rear facing camera, it's quite a common style in terms of it actually rotates for that vertical adjustment. Here on the side here you've got the USB-C input port to power the camera, adhesive pad on top, and there's no left or right movement, so you have to make sure that you mount that correctly on the back of the glass. Other than that, you just got that single lens on the back there. Now I'm shooting this whole entire video in 4K, so you can hopefully see the resolution and the quality once we look at demoing the camera quality later on in this video. Right, so let's get this fired up. We'll get this connected to power so we can actually browse through the main menus. Right, so we've got this connected to our 12-volt cable on the back there. We're going to connect it up on top. We've got power is on the right hand side. Get that connected. That's now powered up. We'll take this off the screen, and it doesn't self-power. No, it does. So that's the logo all self-powered up. We're going to choose our language. We do have touchscreen, so you can use the lower buttons as well as the touchscreen. So that is the footage right now. And obviously we've got a dual display there. We've got the front facing camera and its footage. And then you've got the rear facing camera on the top right hand corner. We've got some navigation options down the bottom there. We've got the front and back facing like alert options on the screen there. GPS is enabled, I assume. 4K is actually being recorded. And then you've got Wi-Fi mode on and off to toggle should you wish to connect your app, the REDTIGER app, to the camera to offload any footage. You've got voice commanding option on and off there. You've got the microphone on and off to capture audio in the camera. Down below here we've got camera to take a photograph, settings, and we're now into the settings where you can change the resolution of the camera between 4K 1080p. We haven't got the rear camera connected at the moment, otherwise that third row would be displaying its resolution. Sound recording, obviously we had that toggled on and off as well. Loop recording time up to 5 minutes. We'll set that to 5 minutes. G sensor of the parking, and if it detects any accidents, you can have that up from off to low, medium and high. Got a fatigue reminder, so the camera could be monitoring, this camera could be monitoring whether you're drowsy or not, and then remind you. Wi-Fi on and off between 4 and 5 gigahertz should you have a faster connection to download that content from the camera to your phone. Got the volume, we're going to set that to low for now. Click tone, we're going to turn off. Startup sound, screensaver mode, 15 seconds, 1 minute and 3 minutes. Then internal recording is on, voice control is on. Here are the voice commands that you can say, and then they actually trigger the camera. Mirroring to flip the camera feed, also rear camera flipping, GPS, and it's connected GPS, but we're quite far away from the window, so it's not detecting those at the moment. Date stamp, speed stamp, so you can actually have your speed actually recorded on the video footage. GPS on the footage as well. Got a speed unit of whether you want kilometers or miles per hour. Your languages between these languages, and you've got clock setting, so you can actually accurately set the time to your time. Time star 24 and 12, 24 hours. Time zone, we're in London. Daylight saving time, which is going to put that on now. Flicker mode, 60 hertz or 50. Format the card. You can set a format reminder if you're not using loop recording. The card speed, you can actually do a check to see if your card is sufficient enough to do 4K, but because they supply that SD card, that should be compatible. Yep. 39 megabytes per second. Reset the setup to set it all back to default settings. QR code to access the application on your phone. Product info, model number, firmware version, and a link to their help and support. So all pretty standard stuff with their cameras. Very similar to their previous dash camera that I recorded on this channel. We got lock, so lock the footage into an event. Then you've got a folder to access the various camera folders from the front, middle and rear facing cameras and play that back, and that picks us up on the audio, so that's good. And then finally we've got toggles to switch between the different camera views, between full screen modes and split screen modes, and that will obviously joggle with an extra third once we get that camera connected. So that leads us to jump in the car now, get it installed and see what the quality of this camera is like. So I'll see you there. Right, so we're in the Cupra Born and we've got the F17 Elite here ready to get connected to the windscreen. We're going to use the adhesive plate up top there, mount it on this side of the windscreen here. I've got like a sticker from the previous install still, but also do bear in mind that you've got the rear facing camera here, so you don't really want to block that from the windscreen, so you might have to mount it slightly lower so you've got a better view from that camera there. So I'm going to look at some possible locations and see where the best place is for me and in this vehicle. But to do that, first get it connected to power source. Now my Cupra Born doesn't have a 12-volt socket in the center compartment area, it's in the boot of the car unfortunately, so I will have to use a secondary power source. This is just a 20,000 milliamp hour battery that's going to power the camera during this review. Or I could use a long USB-C cable to connect it to one of the powered USB ports that are in the center console here. But additionally, they do offer a hardwire kit which connects to a fuse board to piggyback power that way. And if you were to use this kit, you will be able to use the parking functionality, which would power the camera whilst your car is parked. Right, so I found my spot. I'm going to basically reuse that sticker. I'm going to do the lower section so the camera's not getting blocked too much from my rear view mirror. So I'm going to mount it on this sticker now. So I'm going to peel off this sticker and get this mounted up. Hold on there for about 10-ish seconds so you get the adhesive fully contacted on the sticker there on the windscreen, and then it should be all stuck well. You can now switch to the internal camera and get that all framed up. I'm just going to wiggle that down lower right so that's fully in my field of view. Might just take a little bit center so we just cover the whole entire width of the car, like so. Bring it back down again, and then as I'm driving, you got both this side and that side all covered in the camera footage there. So happy days. Let's now jump on to the rear view camera. So with the rear camera cable, just Just have to feed this over and around the car to the back of the car there, where we'll be plugging in the rear view camera. So let's do that. So you're going to connect it to that connector at the top there, and then feed that over, just to get it fed in a decent way around the car. And now for the back of the car. Right, we're going to plug in the rest of the cable. Right, so we've got all the cable passed across the top of the interior here, just temporarily, as this is a review unit. You'd do a better job if you were to purchase this cable. There's plenty of cable to get from the front to the back here, with probably for me about a metre or two to spare. So there's plenty for the majority of cars, I would say, to get to that rear view camera. The cable is quite thick though, so it does have a little bit of an issue. Maybe if you were to feed this cable through the car interior, you might have a little bit of a problem with it's a thicker cable. But generally, not a bad length there for most cars to reach the back. So I'm going to use my phone here, where I've connected to its Wi-Fi hotspot, and that allows me to frame the angle of the camera on the back of the screen here. Right, so we've got our feed here on this camera, and we're going to use this to frame our shot out the back window. So we're going to take that sticker off now, this sticker, and get it attached to our windscreen. Just bear in mind the angles, and just keep that pressed in there for about 10 seconds, and that should be nicely adhered to there. And then we can then play around with the angle, so we've got the best view out of the car. That looks good to me. So with the camera now fitted, you can see the recording of all three cameras are all on one screen at one time, so you can actually see and make sure everything's captured. Sadly, the front facing camera is totally cropped and it's not sized down, but at least you know that's recording at that point. That just leaves us to take this camera for a spin in the day and night, and let's come back with my final impressions. Hi, it's Anthony from CarPlayLife.com. This is an audio test of the dash camera from the F17. So the F17 Elite currently retails for $359.99 from their online store. You can check out the links in my description to their online store, where they've currently got an anniversary deals on at the moment throughout all of June, where there is a number of perks, and also if you place an order and you enter their lucky draw, you get the opportunity of getting your whole entire order refunded. So it's not a bad deal. It's definitely worth giving it a go. Overall, it's definitely a solid camera. It's nice to have all three cameras at front, rear and internal, all in one bundle. It's got a good length of cable, both in its power, its 12-volt adapter power, as well as the rear facing camera lead as well. Good length there to get to the rear end of your car. If you do need to power it over USB-C instead, that is an option. I did that throughout all this review because I don't have a 12-volt adapter, so you can do that too. But just do bear in mind the type of cable that you need to use, and also what its power source is, whether it's a battery pack or if you're plugging it directly into the USB port here in the car. Like, they did come with a 128GB card, so you don't have to think about buying an additional card along with the camera. It all comes bundled in. As you can see from the daylight video, I did have an issue with where I live. It's on a slope and I didn't have the angle correctly for the horizon. And you can rotate the angle of this lens, I'd say about 10 degrees. So as long as you mount it flat and straight, that 10 degrees is going to get you the right horizontal. But unfortunately, there's no horizontal correction on the internal camera, and there's none in the rear facing camera either. The rear only has vertical rotation, so you do have to get that right, and you've got that ball joint for the internal, so you do get lots of manipulation there. You just can't rotate it. Another thing is I did fit the rear camera incorrectly. I did have it upside down, and that made a lot of mess with the orientation in the video footage. I had my rear footage completely flipped, and I couldn't get that corrected after using the mirroring and the flipping in its settings, and it turns out I basically had the camera upside down. So do bear in mind what you need to do to get that camera the right way up. But I did find its settings area very comprehensive. It did have lots of options there. Sadly though, there's no exposure that I could see, and there's no contrast adjustment, which I always like to see in dash cameras, the ability to control that and adjust it to your liking. So at times this set value that they set in the camera is a little bit contrasty or a little bit too high at night for me. I like it a little bit exposed, a little bit down, and this generally did affect the overall quality of the video. In the app, I would have liked to have seen more options. Almost the whole entire suite of options would have been nice in the app itself. So if there are anything granular, you can't do that through the app a little bit quicker, but thankfully it does have a touch screen, so you can access all those settings a lot quicker than if you were just to use those buttons. I found the voice commands quite handy, especially the Wi-Fi on and off. So you could just literally say to turn Wi-Fi on, turn Wi-Fi off, and you can actually enable the camera and have your phone ready to connect to its Wi-Fi and then sync the videos that it captures directly to your phone, which of course is very quick thanks to Wi-Fi 5.8 that it has on there. So its speeds of downloading that content is actually quite quick. I found the files in 4K were roughly about 1.2 gigabytes for the front, and then less for the smaller resolutions of the internal and the rear. So not bad going for a 5-minute video at 4K. I liked its internal nighttime color footage. The actual quality is actually quite good, much better than black and white, and I think we'll probably start seeing this adopted in other dash cams in the future. But being the first, or at least they say that they're the first to do this, it's actually quite good to see, and it does make a difference than just usual black and white footage. And generally its dynamic range is also quite good in all of its cameras. I say it's not as good in the rear, it's actually quite dark, but it does adapt itself during some tunnels that I went in, and during the nighttime footage as well. It seemed to work okay there. But when comparing it to the F17 that I reviewed recently, I'd say the F17 did edge it a lot better in over its quality, its sharpness, and also its saturation for me personally. The F17 was definitely sharper at its quality of front-facing footage, whereas in daylight and nighttime the F17, its edges were slightly more blurry, and that obviously made an effect in recognizing the number plates at night specifically, whereas in the day it actually did a decent job of recognizing number plates in the day. As for its rear-facing camera, I found the F17 with its 4K camera compared to the 2.7 on the F17 not as good. Generally, again, it had that suffered with that sort of blurriness nature in its overall quality, and it could do with a little bit more processing and sharpening generally overall. But across the board, I think its saturation was a little bit too high for me. It's a little bit too rich in its color, and I just generally looked a bit less natural. However, I did like its internal camera. It's actually quite handy for many uses in the car, and the fact that it did come with a color night vision, that was a good handy feature as well. But like the rear camera, it did suffer with a little bit too much oversaturated color and high contrast, and it was a little bit less sharp as well. So I'd say unless you wanted the internal camera and you had some use for that, then personally I would recommend the F17 4K dash camera instead. Alright, I hope you found this video helpful. If it has, give us a big thumbs up and let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions about the F17 Elite, and I'll try my best to answer them. If you like this content and you'd like to support my channel, you can do so by sending us a super thanks down below in YouTube. You can check out the QR code here to buy me a coffee, and you can support me there too. I really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers, bye.